What's up guys, Knife Jim here, back with another VGC 2020 Pokemon Sword and Shield competitive video, and today we are talking about Lycanroc-Dusk form, the scariest looking form of Lycanroc. It's pretty sweet. It has a really good ability that increases all of its physical contact moves by 30%, which is really good, and a fair amount of his moves are going to be boosted by that ability, which is very good. And then, it's pretty cool. Mono rock type is pretty interesting. Not, too much to say. 5 weaknesses, 4 resistances. Not too great. Not too bad. Not a huge deal. Overall stats are pretty squishy. HP at 75, defense and special defense both at 65. Pretty squishy, pretty low. Not great general bulk. You can definitely run this with Focus Sash. Although we went with just like straight damage output with Life Orb. Probably not the best way to go with, Cinderace running around so frequently, and like Dragapult being able to just OHKO this Pokemon. Focus Sash or Life Orb, very customizable set. We'll talk about this set a little bit more in a moment. Attack at 117, pretty good damage output, but with that Tough Claws ability making it like actually solid damage output with its physical contact moves, which is most of them, like I was saying. And then also speed at 110, which is pretty solid, not like insane, but pretty solid in our metagame of a lot of more average to slightly fast Pokemon going around. So overall, pretty solid stats and a good ability, but very, very squishy, not a great typing, and honestly it just doesn't really do much in this current meta. We have a lot of rain, a lot of weathers going around. We have a lot of Rillaboom is the most used Pokemon, a lot of Intimidate. So this Pokemon obviously has its flaws, but it still has some really cool things that it can do, and let's talk about that now. Let's talk about a VGC set and what it looks like overall for Lycanroc-Dusk. So ability Tough Claws, it's actually our only ability that we can use. It is a good ability, like I was saying, but it's the only one, so we don't really have options. Items, we do have some options. We went with Life Orb, like I was saying, just get the most damage possible. Life Orb plus Tough Claws, getting a lot of damage on there, and then we have that +1 speed priority move, being Accelerock, which gives us a really strong Accelerock because it is a physical contact move, so it gets buffed from Tough Claws as well as Life Orb. It's also Stab, so it's a really good speed priority move that Lycanroc has available. Other items that you could use, like I was saying, Focus Sash is a really good option just because how squishy the Pokemon is. It's very, very meager bulk, making that is not a bad option, being Focus Sash. Put it down to 1 HP so it can live 1 attack, because it's usually going to be getting OHKO'd, especially with things like Rillaboom, like I was saying, running around in the meta, being able to just take it out, OHKO it with Grassy Glide, which is not even, it's a move that gets +1 speed priority, so unless you're using Accelerock, that is going to be the end of Lycanroc. So, a lot of threats, but Accelerock makes for the best of that. Focus Sash also makes for the best of that, which is good. We also have Choice Band as a good option here. We lose Protect, but it's not too bad. Choice Band giving us that extra 1.5 times instead of Life Orb's 1.3 times. But I thought it was a fair trade-off for Protect, so we went with Life Orb instead, and then went with Protect. So, good options. Other than that, let's talk about some moves in the actual VGC set. So we are running Accelerock, Rock Slide, Close Combat, and Protect. Accelerock and Close Combat both get the Tough Claws boost of 30%, which is pretty solid. Rock Slide does not get it, unfortunately, but it is a pretty fair trade-off because the move is just so good. Hitting both opposing Pokemon, 90% accurate, which is pretty good. So you'll usually be hitting at least one of the two. You'll miss in the worst times. That's always how it is. But it's not bad. It also gives us a flinch chance. It's a very high damaging move. It's Stab boosted by Life Orb. Rock Slide, I shouldn't really have to talk about how good Rock Slide is. It's just a very good move. Accelerock is that speed priority move. It's very good. And then we have Close Combat on here for coverage. I just like Close Combat. I think it's really good on especially Pokemon like this. It hits a lot of really good Pokemon this format, especially things like T-Tar, Excadrill, very good Pokemon that are played pretty frequently in the meta, so Close Combat is an option to just take down Dynamax Tyrannitars is pretty useful. Other than that, there is a lot of moves that this Pokemon can use, a lot of really good coverage moves if you don't want to go with close combat. And like I said, it's very customizable. Actually, I don't know if I said that yet, but it is a very customizable set. So, you know, Accelerock I think is a must. One rock stab move other than Accelerock I think is also a must for VGC. I like Rock Slide a lot. You could go with something like Stone Edge instead, but, you know, only single targeting. It also has a lower accuracy, so not by much. I think it's 85, I believe, for Stone Edge. Or it's actually 80, but you know, you have a high crit ratio and it does a lot of damage, but yeah, 80 is pretty rough. So yeah, I typically try to stray from moves like that at 80 accuracy, but still, it's a good option. Other than that, we have a lot of really good options for this Pokemon. We have things like Drill Run, Iron Head, Play Rough, Thunder Fang, Crunch, Psychic Fang, Sucker Punch. Most of these are actually, are they all physical contact moves? I think they are. Except Stone Edge. I don't think Stone Edge is either. But most of them are, which means that most of them will be boosted by that Tough Claws, which is very, very good. And obviously Life Orb as well. So, you know, it has a lot of different coverage moves. So depending on the set you're running, and depending on the team you're running, you know, we can cover up some weaknesses with some good coverage moves, which is very good. It also has really good Dynamax potential with things like Drill Run and Iron Head becoming really, really powerful max moves with great secondary effects. So that's another great option for Lycanroc as well. But, you know, like I said, it's very, very squishy, very weak bulk. So I don't think I would be running it as a Dynamax solution most of the time. We also do have Swords Dance as an option here, which is very good. I like Swords Dance a lot, you know, on things like this with a lot of redirection on the format. You can pair it with something like Togekiss and then go for a Swords Dance, so that's another option as well, which I like. I think it's good. Anyway, that is going to be it for the moves. Let's talk about some EV spreads. So, and by EV spreads, I mean one, we want to just be as fast as possible with this, and then be as offensive as possible. Since we have really weak bulk, we're not going to be able to lean into any bulk to allow it to live. So either Focus Sash or Life Orb, and then just being as fast and damaging as possible. So we went with Jolly Nature and 252 into speed, just to make it as fast as possible, hitting that speed tier of 178, which is very, very solid. Had to take a sip of water, you know how it be. And then I also went 252 into attack, and then the leftover 4 into HP, so we have that flexibility to Dynamax if you need to. Life Orb is also great for Dynamaxing, so honestly, like the Pokemon, I talked about how, you know, not to Dynamax with it, but it is very fast and can take down big threats, especially on turns where one of your opponents is attacking. You can take out that Pokemon, and then the other Pokemon, you know, you'll probably get 2 turns of Lycanroc Dynamax, which is very, very good. And especially with Focus Sash, you also will get that 2-turn Dynamax, which is good. But yeah, just 252 into attack and speed, and then 4 into HP. I don't think you should stray from 252 plus into speed. And then, you know, I think this Pokemon just wants to do as much damage as possible with attack, and there's not much of a point to putting into defensive spreads. So that is my reasoning for the 252, 252, 4. Anyway, that is going to be it for our VGC set. I hope you enjoyed that. We have speed tiers, damage calcs, and single spotlight to go over as well. So if you're interested in doing that, stick around. In Rillaboom, we have a Rillaboom down here. Look at the Rillaboom. He's right there. So essentially, you know, as far as synergetic Pokemon, the only ones that we have, this can just fit on a lot of teams with that need the coverage. And we just went with Rillaboom here as the only synergetic Pokemon, since essentially, you know, it can cover a lot of your weaknesses. It destroys Water-type Pokemon, Ground-type Pokemon, Steel if you have Superpower on it, you know, and then it covers a lot of your weaknesses, Lycanroc, you know, Ground, Water, and Steel, like all of them, pretty much everything that hurts Lycanroc, just Rillaboom doesn't really care about, and that's essentially like where that synergy comes from. And then also like something like Togekiss for Swords Dance could be good, some form of redirection, and that's pretty much it for a synergetic Pokemon. So without further ado, let's move on. Let's talk about some speed tiers. So like I said, we do hit a pretty comfortable speed tier that's pretty solid, you know, outspeeds all of those mid to average to fairly fast Pokemon, things like Durant, Charizard, Mimikyu, Excadrill, Duraludon, you know, a lot of really fast, good Pokemon. We are outspeeding pretty comfortably at 178, which is good. You know, just barely outspeeding Durant, Charizard, Mimikyu, Excadrill, you know, all the Pokemon that I just listed. We are outspeeding with ease, which is very, very good. Things that do outspeed us, however, you know, things like Whimsicott, Cinderace, Inteleon, Dragapult, Weavile, Tyranitar if it's Scarfed, which nobody scarfs their Tyranitar. So, yeah, not that much. I don't even know why I mentioned that. I did that, like, very early in the format. It was cool. but it's not that good. But yeah, there's, you know, everything else that outspeeds us is, you know, all the Scarf Pokemon, weather guys like Chlorophyll, Venusaur, you know, Swift Swim, Kingdra, stuff like that. All of those are going to be outspeeding us as well, which shouldn't really come as a surprise because that's their whole thing, is that they're very fast with weather. So yeah, I mean, we hit a pretty solid speed tier, but nothing like too crazy. 178 is pretty good, but not insane. So yeah, that's going to be it for speed tiers. Let's move to damage calcs. So a lot of these are going to be you just clicking Accelerock, since that's like his whole thing is like Tough Claws boosts Accelerock, Life Orb plus Stab makes it pretty good. So max attack 252, Life Orb, Tough Claws plus all of those onto Accelerock. We are hitting about 86 to 105 into a non-Dynamax Cinderace, which is almost enough to, you know, enough to give us a 31% chance to OHKO a non-Dynamax Cinderace. Well, it's usually going to be Dynamaxing, so if you just can't deal with Cinderace during its Dynamax, which you should definitely want to deal with Cinderace during its Dynamax, but you know, if it doesn't Dynamax, or if you couldn't beat it during its Dynamax, Accelerock just destroys it once it goes baby again, which is very, very good, especially after a couple of Life Orb ticks. Like, you're going to be taking it out like all the time after it's done Dynamaxing. It also it is pretty notable that this is just double of its HP when it Dynamaxes, so we'll have a 31% chance to 2-hit KO, which means, like, you know, after a couple of chips or a couple of good damage, Accelerock will just take it out pretty easily, which is good. Next, we have Tough Claws, Accelerock into a pretty defensive Togekiss. This is one of the most used spreads on Pikalytics and has been one of the most used spreads this entire format, which is pretty good. You know, very, very defensive, 228 HP and 196 plus defense. We are still hitting 45 to 55% into it, which is a 60.2% chance to 2-hit KO, which is very good against this Pokemon. You know, a couple of chips, Rock Slide does pretty similar damage. Rock Slide and then Accelerock is a good way of dealing with Togekiss. Which is very good as well. So yeah, it's good damage. It's solid damage off of, you know, Accelerock, which isn't insane damage. It's 40 base power. It's very low. Next we have Close Combat into a very defensive Porygon 2. 252 HP, 188 plus defense with Eviolite, giving it a huge boost. We are hitting 60 to 72%, which is pretty solid damage, a guaranteed 2-hit KO, but with Helping Hand, it pushes us up to 92 to 109%, which is very good. 56.3% chance to OHKO, which is, once again, just very, very good, and off of Close Combat, so it's really good. Next, we have Helping Hand Close Combat, once again, into Tyranitar. This is, I didn't mean to have the, actually, hold on one second. I didn't mean to have Helping Hand active for that. Whoops. But, yeah, 252 in Dynamax without Helping Hand. We're still hitting 96 to 114, which is an 80% chance to OHKO. But obviously, with Helping Hand, it's a guaranteed OHKO, which is good. But, you know, 80% chance, you're most likely getting it. It's still a roll, but it's still a very high roll. It's a very good roll. Something that I would not really want to rely on, but if that's like my best move, it's a good move. So yeah, but Helping Hand guarantees it, which is very good. Next, we have 252 attack Rillaboom Grassy Glide in grassy terrain against our Lycanroc. This shouldn't really come as a surprise. We're very, very squishy. Rillaboom has good damage output in grassy terrain boost with Grassy Glide. Hits 143 to 168%, which is a lot, and a guaranteed OHKO. So, you know, Focus Sash is definitely something that's very, very viable in this Pokemon. Probably should be used over Life Orb, but I feel like Life Orb, you know, this Pokemon, if it's not dealing a lot of damage, then there's just better Pokemon that you could use. So I just went with damage. And then last but not least, we have Kingdra Muddy Water into our Lycanroc-Dusk, hitting 125 to 149 with Life Orb. This shouldn't come as a surprise once again. You know, it's just a very, very strong Pokemon, hitting super effective stab damage with Life Orb boost. Yeah, it's fine. And a lot of the time that's going to be in rain, so, you know, we're super dead to those. But yeah, you know, it has a lot of weaknesses, like I was saying. But overall, still some really good damage calcs, and it has some good damage output. Anyway, that is going to be it for damage calcs. Let's move on to single spotlight for this Pokemon. So, Ability Tough Claws, we went with Life Orb once again. Once again, you could go with something like Sash or Choice Band for this Pokemon, but then you lose things like Stealth Rock and Swords Dance. And in singles, I really like those attacks. Swords Dance whenever you expect your opponent to pivot. Same with Stealth Rocks. And then, Accelerock for stab and then close combat. This is also another very customizable set. You could put Stone Edge or something on here as well instead of Swords Dance or Stealth Rock, whichever one you want. But I like the double support with the attacks. I think it's pretty good, personally. Anyway, that is going to be it. And then the EV spread is the same as VGC. It's just exactly what you would expect. Jolly 252 into attack and speed, and then the leftover 4 into HP. You can move it to defense or whatever, but this Pokemon is phenomenally squishy. So, it is what it is. Anyway, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, go down to the comment section right now and say, hey, nice vid, or comment whatever you want to. Doesn't really matter, just comment something. Comment, like, subscribe, all of those mean a big difference. All of those make a big difference for me. Lycanroc, in sum up, I think it's not that great. It has some really cool tools. It does pretty solid damage output with Tough Claws plus Life Orb plus Stab. Accelerock is a great move, +1 speed priority, hitting a lot of damage. It's Stab, Tough Claws, Life Orb, big damage, but not huge damage. It's good damage, but it's not insane. And the Pokemon is so squishy, and it just doesn't have a great place in the meta right now with things like Rillaboom, Dynamax, Cinderace with Iron Head and stuff like that, and a lot of rain going around. It doesn't have a great place in the meta, and honestly, its upsides don't outweigh its downsides. So I personally would not be using it at a big event, but something like rank climbing, and you just want to give this guy a shot. Give it a shot. Anyway, that is going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Join me on Discord. Follow me on Twitter. Do all of those things. It's only 5 things. That's not that many things. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.